After the massive battle on planet Eridanus II during Episode 5, Halo toned things down a bit for its 6th episode. However, the tensions between Chief and Halsey were at an all-time high as he finally discovered the truth about the Spartan program. The episode wasn't all story though, as it had a ton of references and Easter eggs. So here's everything you missed. First, the Spartan laser. While the Halo TV series has been criticized for its deviation from the video games and the canon lore, one area where it really doesn't falter, however, is in its references to the game's weapons. We've already seen tons of accurate representations of the iconic Halo weapons in the show, like the Needler and the UNSC assault rifle. The 6th episode, though, treated the fans of the franchise to another fun bit of trivia about the Halo lore. If you watch closely, around the 30-minute mark in Episode 6, you can see the Spartans looking at a schematic of a weapon. And of course, this weapon is the fan-favorite Spartan laser, which is a big and powerful energy rifle used by the UNSC. In the show, we can hear the soldiers talking about how the weapon's battery holds a maximum of 5 shots. Now, in the games, this varies, as it has 4 shots in entries like Halo 4 and Halo Reach, but in Halo 3 and ODST, the gun can fire 5 shots. So this number in the show is definitely going to please some Bungie Halo purists out there. Next up, the Forward Unto Dawn poem. During the episode, while Chief is walking through the halls of the UNSC base on Planet Reach, you can see some letters on the wall in the background. These letters read Valor, Allegiance, Excellence. Now, this might look like some typical military motivational thingy at first glance, but it's actually taken straight from the Halo lore. In fact, these words are part of the canon poem Forward Unto Dawn. Does that name sound familiar to you in any way? If it does, then congrats, because this is indeed also the name of the UNSC ship that plays a massive role in Halo 3 and 4. However, did you know that the ship actually took its name from the poem? Here's how it goes. Honor, valor, allegiance today, tomorrow, forever. Together we rise. Together we prevail. Forward unto the dawn. Pretty cool stuff, right? We're glad the show recognizes it as well. Now, onto the downfall of Halsey. Halsey's always had a pretty rocky relationship with the UNSC, but after her exploits with the Spartan program, she was kind of given free reign over her work. However, with the Covenant wreaking havoc and her Spartans kind of going haywire, the UNSC has put her on a leash, and this is the point where the show starts from. By the time we get to Episode 6, though, we see things really starting to fall apart for her. Not only does the UNSC revoke her access to the lab and Cortana, but they also order it to be removed from the premises. And if we look at the games, there are some pretty clear examples of Halsey falling out of favor with the UNSC and getting kicked out as a result. She does go on to continue experimentation with things in her own little lab, though. Now, of course, it's still too early to call whether she'll be entirely kicked out by the UNSC in the show, as we haven't seen the fall of Reach yet, but at least the cogs have started to turn for that eventual reality. Next, we have Master Chief's Flash clone. Episode 6 of Halo was all about Master Chief discovering everything about his past and the Spartan program, and while the show has changed a lot of things about the backgrounds of its characters, this is one area where it stays true to its roots. So at around the 19-minute mark, Halsey comes clean to John and tells him everything about her Spartan program. You know, him getting kidnapped and then being dropped into a super soldier training program, the whole shtick. One particularly fascinating detail about her story is the fact that Chief was replaced by a genetically compromised Flash clone, which kinda died pretty soon. And if you've been following the lore of the games and the novels, you'd know that this is exactly what happens in canon as well. Of course, this is not the only mention of Flash cloning in the show, as Cortana is also technically a Flash clone of Dr. Halsey herself. The tech is now much more advanced than it was back in the Spartan program days, though. And now for dismantling Section 3. Now, this one's super easy to miss, but is actually pretty interesting if you dive into it. So if you pay close attention, at around the 11-minute and 40-second mark during the episode, you'll hear that the Admiral wants to dismantle Section 3 and bring the Spartans under UNSC command. But what is Section 3, and how does it relate to the Spartans? Well, essentially, the ONI Section 3 is a subdivision of the Office of Naval Intelligence. In simpler terms, it just means that they work under the Navy, but according to the canon lore, they are a very specialized team that's responsible for some important projects for the UNSC. What important projects? Well, for starters, they developed the simulations that trained the Spartans. Oh, and they're also one of the first UNSC divisions to actually come into contact with the Covenant. So yeah, those peeps at Section 3 are into some deep and heavy stuff, but despite their contributions to the UNSC, they're still not really seen as the outright good guys, as of course, they're also responsible for the Spartans, who are seen as freaks by normal humans. If the Admiral dismantles them, though, the Spartan program can be taken away from the Navy. He essentially intends to hand the program to the Marines, where he could have more control over these super soldiers. Up next is Master Chief's connection to the ring. Ever since the first episode, the Halo TV show has had a pretty strong emphasis on establishing the role of the Chosen One. For the Covenant, it's Makee, who has some special powers that let her interact with Forerunner artifacts. And for the UNSC, it's Master Chief. However, it's never really described what that really means and why only some people are able to trigger a reaction from these artifacts. In Episode 6, however, Halsey tells John that he has some special connection to the Halo ring that could very well prove to be the key factor in helping humanity thrive. But of course, we've already established that the Halo rings are a weapon, so how exactly can one Spartan use a weapon to help humanity? Well, for that, we'd have to look towards the games and the extended canon lore where Sentinels refer to the Chief as the Reclaimer. Now in the games, the Reclaimers don't have any special magic connection to the rings or any Forerunner artifacts, but they are the ones who have to get a Halo ring's activation index from its library and activate the Halo array. Of course, this would obviously result in destruction. In the games though, Master Chief ends up destroying the ring itself despite being a Reclaimer, and as a result saves humankind from destruction. So perhaps this is what the show means by the Chosen One. And finally, the Halo ring. Cue the Warthog Run music because we finally have our first look at the Halo ring. We only get to see it for a super brief moment though. This happens at around the 45-minute mark during Episode 6, when Chief decides to go ham and touch the artifact on Makee's advice once again. However, this move kind of backfires as his visions are much more intense this time around, and it also knocks both of them out. But this time around, the fade to black cuts back in with both the Chief and Makee standing on what is certainly a Halo ring. Oh, and on top of that, we also hear some of that sweet Halo theme music. Now, this is kind of the first time we've heard the theme tune out of the few notes during the intro, so could the show actually be ramping up to finally give us a full rendition of the iconic Halo theme once they actually get to the ring? Guess we'll have to wait and find out. But speaking of the ring, there's another detail that most Halo video game fans would have instantly picked up. Yes, the ring itself didn't even look like it had been adapted or recreated for the series. In fact, it looked like they straight up ripped the whole environment and the ring from one of the Halo Infinite trailers. However, that doesn't mean it looks bad though. In fact, it looked like they straight up ripped the whole environment and the ring from one of the Halo Infinite trailers. However, that doesn't mean it looks bad though, as it's quite the opposite actually. Not only will this satisfy the fans who want the show to look more like the games, but will also just look good in general. Like, Halo rings have a certain aesthetic that no other sci-fi show can match, so this is definitely a welcome addition. Whether we get some action on this ring in the coming episodes, however, remains to be seen. That's a wrap for this video. What was your favorite little detail in Episode 6 of Halo? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.